Alright, yo, what are you saying? Welcome back to ISOJ. I didn't think I'd be back so soon doing another one of these videos. I did not think I'd be doing back-to-backs like Kawhi Leonard, but here I am. Because Coach Mike Budenholzer just got fired. And for a lot of teams, you think, oh no, the coach got fired, that must suck. But for the Suns, in this case, you know what? I don't actually know how to feel. I'll be completely honest, and I'm going really off script here. I'm just going off vibes entirely, because that's every video about the Suns has just been vibes for me. The firing of Mike Budenholzer is kind of just, we all expected it, right? Even if you're not a Suns fan, you looked at the Suns this season with the team they had and the roster they had, you thought, this is a playoff team, right? This team should be competing in the playoffs. They shouldn't be going to Cancun now. Yeah, that's for a couple weeks maybe. We didn't think they'd get far, but we think they get there, right? Collectively, as an NBA community, we all thought they would do it. But to bomb out in the way that they did, a 36-46 season or however many losses they accrued, it's a tough season for the Suns. So James Jones is also someone who I think won't be coming back to the Suns next season. And for all it's worth, James Jones hasn't been the greatest GM. Like, he had some picks where, you know, it didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to. But he is the same guy who got us Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, built the team in 2021 that took us to the finals, right? So James Jones is not all bad. He's had some roster construction issues as of late. Fair enough. Realistically, what can you do with this team? When you're this capped out, the best you could do is kind of what he did. We got Tyus Jones. We got Monty Morris as our potential like point guard and backup point guard. That's fine. That was the one thing that Coach Frank Vogel asked for last year. He wanted a point guard because running Devin Booker at the point guard or Bradley Beal at the point guard wasn't the solution. We got that. We got pretty decent rookies this year in Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro. Cool. It all stems down to the Bradley Beal trade. And I hope to God he doesn't get another extension, because if Bradley Beal gets an extension, unless that takes away his no trade clause and it's a lot less money, I don't want it. I do not want it. I think Bradley Beal on the Suns has kind of just been the case of too many cooks in the kitchen. I did a podcast with the guys at Stateside Report UK, and we talked about this entirely, pretty much. If you wanted to go watch it, go ahead and watch it. Stateside Report UK. It's a podcast on Spotify and other platforms. You could probably find condensed versions on their TikTok or on my Instagram. There's a collaborative post. I love that they do that. Anyway, this season for the Suns, you'd think would be a lot better. I made a predictions video about this season, and I put the Suns as the second seed because I thought, yeah, cool. The one thing we needed from last year was an actual point guard. You can have all the bucket getters you want, right? And that's a term I hate. I hate the idea of bucket getters because that just means you're kind of great at one thing. And fair enough, you know, if you're good at scoring the basketball, that helps in the game of basketball. Who knew? But you run into the problem of having too many cooks in the kitchen because there's only one basketball. In this kitchen, there's only one spoon and everyone has to take turns to stir the food, right? And quite evidently, it's not worked in Phoenix. You have this three-headed monster. Yeah, who's going to stop us? It was us. There was no one else that was going to be in the way other than the three of them. So where does that leave us now? I think James Jones is gone. We know Mike Budenholzer is gone too. What is the next move? Do the Suns decide they want to go rookie head coach? Do we take a chance on a former player in the same way that the Lakers did with JJ Redick? Maybe that's the answer. Problem is, these guys lost the faith of championship coaches before. Bud was getting slammed by Bradley Beal apparently because Bud wanted Bradley Beal to play like Drew Holiday. Him saying you should play like Drew Holiday is like talking to me and saying I should be like LeBron James. The puzzle piece doesn't match. So when you try and stuff it in the position, it's not going to work. Bradley Beal is not a Drew Holiday. They're not even remotely the same in terms of who they are as players. Bradley Beal is a bucket getting two guard. Drew Holiday is a two-way monster. Maybe not as two-way as it used to be, but in his Milwaukee days, yeah, he was a two-way monster. And it's things like that and how you realize that Coach Bud lost this team a long time ago. Telling Devin Booker he needs to be less vocal. The whole debacle with KD's trade and what could have happened there. This team in general, I don't think it matters who the coach is. The team is flawed. You can't make a recipe that calls for eggs and decide I'm going to omit the eggs. It doesn't work like that. You can't do these things because it just doesn't work. These players, like, yes, I get Coach Bud wants to make his system work with this team. But if you don't have the right pieces to implement a system, then you can't implement the system. It's as simple as that. If the puzzle piece calls for a four-sided, I don't know what to call puzzle pieces, you don't shove a square in there. It's not going to work. And I don't know. Honestly, as a Suns fan, I don't know where that leaves us. Because yes, we could just be in a position where we were 10 years ago and tank like no one cares. No one's going to give us picks for KD. Like, we can hope. We can all sit here and say, man, I hope we get our picks back from the Rockets for KD. It probably isn't happening because KD at this point is not worth the same amount he was in 2022, 2023 when we traded for him. That trade package is not what you get for KD now because he's 37 years old. And whilst he is still Kevin Durant, he is still an elite player, still one of the best in the game right now. You're going to get him for what, 2 years max before he calls it quits and retires? Maybe he plays till he's 40 like LeBron. Yeah, sure. But he's still a 40-year-old player. There's a lot of teams where you think, okay, if I'm a team like OKC or the Rockets, as I mentioned before, Detroit, who think, you know what, we're one piece away. We get blasted in the playoffs for whatever reason and think we need something to push us over the edge. We need something to make us unstoppable. Is that piece KD? Maybe it is. Maybe OKC thinks, you know what, we got a lot of picks that we're never going to use. If we just package them together, put some salary like Isaiah Hartenstein or whoever else, I know you can't combine salaries to match, but yeah, there's a way, right? Then it becomes a little bit easier. Then the light at the end of the tunnel for Phoenix doesn't look as bleak because how it is now in Phoenix is not great. A couple years ago when Matt Ishbia took over this team, he said 26 other teams would want to beat us. They want our roster. Now I don't think there's one. I don't think there's a single team in the NBA that looks at the Suns and thinks, I like what you got going there, Matt. I would like a piece of that. I would like to trade for some of these pieces you got. Because it's a fire sale here, and anyone who can get a return is getting a return. This leads into the unfortunate question that a lot of Suns fans have to ask themselves now. Do we trade Devin Booker? Is it time? Look, this has been here since I started this channel, right? I am a huge Devin Booker fan. I got book ones. Love the guy. But do I think Book is the number one guy on a championship winning team in the current NBA? I'm not as sold. When you look at some of the other teams and who their number one options are, it's a little bit terrifying. Okay, yeah, Houston doesn't have a great number one option. They have Alperen Sengun, cool, but Devin Booker would go there and be their number one option, right? When you look at other teams in the West, any other playoff team has a better number one option than Devin Booker. If I go to the Lakers, they got Luka and LeBron. If I go to the Timberwolves, they have Anthony Edwards. You see my qualm here. Maybe the Sacramento Kings, okay, fine. But if we're talking strictly playoff teams, I'm sure there is not a single playoff team that thinks, well, the Rockets. But I'm sure outside all those 7 other teams think, nah, we don't need Devin Booker. That's fine. So what do the trades to fix the Suns look like? I think, firstly, again, as I said in the video, KD being moved for picks and young players, one or the other is fine. Devin Booker will have to be moved at some point. Unless you really want to retool around Booker, I think it's such a difficult move. With no picks, with no flexibility, yeah, you'll get some cap room when you trade KD, fair enough. As a team that's already up to the second apron, almost over the second apron, where is the wiggle room? Where do we find the moves? Because then we'll be just trotting out a lineup of whoever we get in the trade, Bradley Beal, Book. I don't think Tyus Jones is coming back, I'll tell you that much. Where does that make us better than a lot of these teams? No. I still don't see the world next year where we come back and still think we can be a playoff team. And this is the problem with new ownership, right? Because as an owner, you want the biggest return on investment. He bought high on this team. The Suns team, when Matt Ishbia bought it, was conference semifinals, game 7 against Luka Doncic. Yeah, blowout, tough, horrific. In the NBA finals the year before. Had a clear direction, knew what they wanted to do, had young players and a lot of picks. And so far, it's not looked great. Every opportunity that this team has had in the last 2 years hasn't looked good. We got swept last year in the playoffs by just a much better team. Couldn't make the playoffs this year. What's next? Do we hire Mike Malone and continue the rotating circle of head coaches? This is Devin Booker's eighth head coach in 11 years. Yes, a lot of the first 3 were kind of like they're on tanking teams. It's not his fault that the coaches get fired. When we're in your prime as a player, when you have the superstars around you, when you have the team around you that you thought would lead you to the promised land, it's not looking great now, is it? Players will get a lot of shit for the moves of their front office. A lot of people were clowning Devin Booker and Kevin Durant because they were the ones who pushed for Bradley Beal. If your CEO, his dad is Bradley Beal's agent, there's a little bit of work that says, can we bring these together? I don't know. Maybe that's just a little bit tinfoil. Maybe that's just me thinking maybe there's something bigger to this. Maybe we can get out of the contract. Hopefully, you know, because that seems to be the only way we can get off Bradley Beal. Anyway, that was a lot of ranting. I did not want to do another video about the Suns. And I promise you, other than like a 2K video, maybe down the line, we're not talking about the Suns until free agency. We're not talking about them until next season. I'm done. We're talking about real teams that are in the playoffs, that are fighting for a championship title. And with that, I think it's time that I stop yapping. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a good day wherever you are. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave it a like. That would be that'd be wonderful. I'd enjoy that. Thank you very much. If you liked it that little bit more and you wanted to support me, go ahead and follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, follow me on, well, subscribe here. It's the same name everywhere else, ISOJ Hoops. Lovely to see you all again. And yeah, bye-bye now.